Oh, awesome. So I'm Caleb. I think maybe all you guys haven't met yet, but I'm Caleb, and I'm going to give my testimony tonight. And so starting out, when Jason asked me, I was like, oh my goodness, your testimony and your story is something you think about, but you don't really think about. You only think about it unless somebody asks you. So I had a lot of struggles just thinking about it, and it's just nerve-wracking. But anyway, so this is my story, and I would say my kind of story and walk with God has been heavily influenced by relationships. God has really impacted my life through relationships. So the first relationship that kind of started me on my path was when my mom met my dad, and so they got married and whatever, and had me. And so when I was born into a super small country church that maybe had 100 people on Sunday, maybe. It was in the middle of nowhere. That's where I'm from. Anyway. But yeah, so that's where it started. I was born there. Really good community. That's where I was raised. And even from an early age, my parents were my foundation for my faith. They really did well at kind of making sure that I knew the Bible. They were good at making sure that I knew all the stories, that I had that foundation. So I'm really thankful for that they invested in me in that way. Let's see, I was 11 or 12 when I was interested in getting baptized, and so I went to my parents. I said, hey, I want to get baptized. So they walked me through it, and I made the decision, and my dad baptized me at that super tiny church in the middle of nowhere. And so kind of, for me, my baptism was kind of like the foundation for me. It really wasn't, I look up to people like Josh and Josh's story, and I look up to people like Logan and Logan's story just because of how kind of the points that they became Christians. They're just older, so I think it has a lot more impact. And anyway, I look up to them. But so baptism was kind of my foundation. That was kind of where I started. Like I said, when I was really young. And so, also when I was really young, my parents got me involved in this program called Last Leaders. So they really also, with my faith, they wanted to invest in me as a leader. And so this program, it taught me how to write lessons and present them, how to lead singing, how to, basically how leadership works in the church. And so they invested in me, and I got really involved in that program. And so then probably a couple years after I was baptized, kind of one of the most underrated and biggest changes in my life was when we moved churches. So we moved from this super small church to a really big church in town, 500 people compared to where I was. And that's where my relationship with God really took off. Again, relationships, that's where I met my youth minister, J.E. From day one, he saw me, he saw who I was, he saw how God worked in my life, and he really invested in me the same way my parents did with my faith. And he really encouraged me to become a leader, and that's where, it's crazy the effect that somebody that believes in you can have on you. And so that's where I met JD. He's still super involved in my life. And then I met another guy, and a ton of other people, but another guy specifically was this old man. He was from Michigan, and they had moved to Columbia. His name was Don Duggar, and his saying, I didn't know how to say it in the first one, but he used to say, my name's Don Duggar. Don Duggar's my name, and drywall is my game. But anyway, I just say that because he also invested in me, and he just reminds me of, and he taught me the lessons of Colossians 3:23, just how to work for God and everything that you do with all your heart. And he invested in me, and he really kind of altered my faith as well. And so, like I said, at Green Mirror, I met all these people, and I formed all these relationships, and they really showed me who God was, and really just changed the direction of my path. That's where I went. I hated the saying growing up, because they would say it all the time at youth rallies and stuff. You got to make your faith your own, and you have to make it, whatever, you and God. I think I realize what that means now, looking back on everything. So anyway, so Grand River had a huge effect, and the people there that I met had a huge effect. And then after that, after high school was over, I was really debating between going to Free Hardman, which is a super small Christian school, which mainly does ministry. So I was debating ministry or come to UT and do architecture. I met Logan because of moving to Grand River as well, so that's just another connection. But anyway, so I came here and I got involved at the CSC even before day one, and it's where I met so many amazing people. And I think, looking back on it, I think it was like a puzzle and like fitting in like a piece. Honestly, the same way when we moved churches. And so the CSC has been a huge impact in my life and given me the relationships that have also just helped my relationship with God and guided me in that way. And so I've gotten the chance to be here and kind of fulfill my dreams as well, like doing ministry and architecture the past couple of years. So I just hope God has worked through me. And like I said at the start, relationships are what has impacted my life the most in my relationship with God. And so I just have this quick little verse from Hebrews 10, verse 24 through 25. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. And again, like with that verse, and just thinking about my testimony and my story, just don't underestimate the effect that you can have on anyone. Like even with the small actions, even with just a smile to someone, like that can have a huge impact on somebody. So that's my story.
We pray for Caleb. Father God, we just thank you for Caleb, his heart to serve you. We thank you for the relationships you put in his life so that he could come to know you. And we thank you for his story and the inspiration it is to all of us, Lord. I pray that his story continues on a path that draws him closer to you and draws others to you as well. We know that he's doing that here at the CSC. We ask that happens in the architecture building and wherever life takes him. We thank you for Caleb, who you've molded him to be, the person he is, the heart he has for you, and the love that he has for you. And thank you for your son, for all this. All right.